Welcome to the Financial Technology Report, a leading information source on financial technology companies and solutions. In this episode, we speak with Chris Dean, co-founder and CEO of Treasury Prime, a modern banking platform that connects fintechs and businesses to a broad network of banks through secure, scalable APIs. Treasury Prime enables companies to open accounts, move money, and embed banking services directly into their applications, supporting millions of accounts and billions of dollars in daily money movement. The platform helps banks reach new markets while giving developers the tools to launch financial products quickly and reliably. Dean previously led API banking at Silicon Valley Bank following its acquisition of Standard Treasury, where he served as CTO. Earlier in his career, he founded several software companies and began his work in machine learning systems at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory. I'm your host, RJ Lumba. We hope you enjoyed the show. If you liked the episode, click to follow. Chris, thanks for taking the time. Great to be with you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
I think a good place to start is, you've built a lot of different companies and sold them. And the first thing that pops into my mind is, what keeps you wanting to start new companies? Is it kind of like you have this idea and you have to see it out in the world? You've made money on your prior exits. So curious what drives you.
Yeah, I met my financial goals a long time ago. It's an internal thing. I want to build things. I talked to my family about this a long time ago when I was young, and they told me that if I had been born in New England in the Revolutionary War times, I'd be walking around building mills for people. I just want to build stuff. I tried to retire for a minute, and what I found was I just kept building my own stuff. But I'm like, well, if I'm going to do this all day anyway, why don't I do it in a way that helps more than just me? I'm a beekeeper, and I was building all these elaborate stuff for my bees, and I'm like, it was fun, but I could do something else too.
I could imagine you have so many different ideas and you almost have to remind yourself to stay focused.
Yes, that's right. And my general thing is I find something I really like and I will try to go as far as I can with that. And for whatever odd reason, I really like banking. And it sounds crazy, but I do think it's super interesting. Here I am doing banking stuff. I'm a big nerd, which is not usually the match. Usually all the finance folks. I'm like, no, I like all the money movement stuff, risk stuff.
In this area that you're in, these embedded banking solutions is an area that we're finding more companies operating. I guess it's been happening for the past several years, but what initially prompted you to kind of go down this path? You had your choice of, different solutions you could go after overall fintech.
Yeah. I didn't know anything about banking. A buddy asked me to help out with this company. It was a minute old. I did that. It was about banking software. It was about kind of embedded finance software. We sold that company and I just wanted to stay with it. And if I looked at what was happening, especially in the US, worldwide, but especially in the US, the tech companies were the ones who are innovating on kind of what I would call the last mile products, how they actually talk to the end user, going after very specific, sometimes very small markets, that were small in terms of people. And meanwhile, the banks were still doing what they always did, which is they're really good at risk management. They're really good at customer relations. And they have just moved to be, our customer relations are going to be with the fintech and our risk management is going to be helping them not be too risky because they really know how to do that. And when all that happened, I was like, this is a sea change. Over the next 20 years, we're going to see more and more of our day-to-day finances be handled by tech companies and with a bank in the back. And I'm like, okay, let's do that. I'm good at writing tech stuff. I know how to do that. Let's do that.
I guess as you're describing it, it's kind of like three layers.
Yeah.
The fintech, then there's you, then there's the bank. Am I thinking about it correctly?
Yeah. We're a software company, though. We don't actually make any decision. It can be very frustrating. We'll find a fintech. We'll introduce them to the bank. Lots of banks. We have a whole program for doing this. And the banks who use our software will sign that customer. It's their customer. They'll turn it on, but they'll use our software. So the banks will use our software to run that fintech. The fintech loves it because, it's modern, great software. like some old weird bank software. And everyone's happy. And then the end user, of course, gets the value of all that.
And is the fintech, do they have like a specific point solution that's the catalyst for them starting the relationship with the end customer?
Almost always. Yeah. They have a market need that they see, and they're all over the map. Like we have a customer, it's named Sidecar. And what Sidecar does is they are an investment platform for people wanting to invest in mostly early stage startups. That's interesting, right? So what do they need? They need bank account for their investments. They need money around. And as soon as you say they need a bank account, that means they need a bank.
Mm-hmm. And so give us a sense for where the company is today. I think you founded it in 2017. You've brought in some capital. You've got some good investors like QED is in there. You started out with Y Combinator, I believe. Where are you today?
Yeah, we have great investors. This is like not what you asked, but a couple investments ago, I had a really mediocre investor. And I promised myself, never again. So our investors this time are all A+ grade. YC, Desi, and QED, they're all great. SUSA, they're all great. So where are we now? We're at the moment the premier solution here for the embedded banking stuff. Our competitors are generally banks who don't use our software. What we do is we go to a bank, we help them set up a line of business. Usually these are smaller community banks, although we have a couple of big bank clients. And we teach them how to create a whole new national business by going through these fintechs. They do that. They make a lot of money. We're a deposit making machine. We have more than 10 billion in deposits across all our banks. We do a lot of stuff. And once the community bank turns on, it becomes like a way that they can have this whole other line of business. And that's great. Then we'll find another bank, another bank. There's not any danger of the tech companies running out of ideas. And that means there's always new business for these banks. And the challenge here is that there's so many tech companies and a bank can only do, like say a dozen deals per year at most, that there needs to be a lot of banks who are doing this. And so that's our whole thing. We have a network of banks. That's how we're different than everyone else. A fintech can come to us. They know they can probably find a home. If a bank comes to us, they know they can probably get a deal. And most of our bigger fintechs are at multiple banks, and that works out for everyone.
Mm-hmm. How does it work with your business model? Is it kind of these partnerships with the banks where, maybe it's kind of thought of as lead generation for customers?
So we're a software company.
Mm-hmm.
And when a bank signs up, they buy our software.
Got it.
So that's step one, they buy our software. And then there's a usage fee that they pay based upon how, many fintechs they have and how busy they are and how successful they are. But our model is set up very carefully so that the only way we can be successful is if the bank and the fintech are successful, because it can't be a mutually beneficial relationship or this whole thing doesn't work.
Right. I imagine it's a very compelling pitch. I mean, there's community banks all over the US. I forget what the last count was. It's in the thousands, I assume.
Yeah.
I can imagine if you go to them and say, hey, listen, we could grow your deposits because like deposits is the name of the game. And you're saying, well, listen, we have this ecosystem of fintechs who could partner with you and raise your level of deposits by 10, 20% per year. That's a pretty compelling pitch.
And some of our banks have said, look, we need to slow down because the fintechs are becoming too big a percentage. So we need really to slow down. And I'm like, well, you can offload them. And we have like ways to offload them. You can ask the fintech to add another bank and then you can split deposits that way. But yeah, we're, like I said, we're a deposit making machine. It's just a lot.
Well, one of the things we do like to touch on, and we alluded to it earlier, about your investors, how you have like really great investors, how they've helped you. It seems like, the business building game, the fintech space. You could possibly do this, almost independently with investors that don't have the expertise, but you do have great investors. So how have they added value besides the financial capital?
Yeah, it's a tricky question. Everyone says they're more than just a check. Everybody. And they talk about how great they are, but mostly they're just a check. And, you get someone on your board who doesn't actually know how to run a business or something. It's very frustrating. So we were very picky about doing that, about making sure that our folks do not have that problem. So everyone on our board is an operator or has some like strategic, thing that we really needed, like on our board from QED is a bioscarity. MIS for 8 years, ran a portion of the U.S. Treasury Department that dealt with banks, during the Obama days. And he has just this endless knowledge of how banks work and how the banking system works. And he knows everyone. And I can call him and he can like, give me a minute and I'll connect you to the important person who knows the answer. And that's just been invaluable. And my buddy Dave Kimmerly, he's a Decian's guy. He and I did the company together. He knows everyone in fintech on the tech side. So it's the same thing. If I need an intro, if I need business, it's really helpful. I think people underestimate how helpful a good investor can be and how useless like a mediocre investor is.
Mm-hmm. You're a multiple time entrepreneur. I presume when you started a company or when you started this last company, you're probably way more efficient and effective than your earliest days. What do you think it was like, just like all that experience you had? If you had to pick something where you feel like you had learned this over and over again, that was like a key piece of the way you operate now that it's like based on mistakes you made earlier.
Yeah. Mostly it's as you do this more and more, you make brand new mistakes. I look at my job very simply. I have to pick a problem. In this case, it's the embedded finance problem. I have to pick that problem and decide what that means. The market is, we're going to pitch it, and what the product actually does, all that. But the second thing I have to do is find the right people. Startups are made of people. They're our biggest expense and our biggest advantage. And it is overwhelmingly important that you only hire great people. That is the thing I've learned over and over. It's better to say, I'm going to keep looking for someone to fill this role I need rather than taking someone who seems pretty good. They have to be great. If they're not great, you should just move on. And it's painful. We'll keep waiting, but it's more painful to try to take someone who's not quite working out and have them leave.
Mm-hmm. What's been your hit rate? Like when you decide to hire someone, do they work out 100% of the time, 80% of the time, 60% of the time?
We're pretty high. So it's like, 80, 90% of the time. But the flip side is our interviewing and searching problem is very slow. Like we just hired a new person yesterday, day before yesterday, and that search took, I think, 5 months.
Mm-hmm.
And this shouldn't have taken that long, but it did because it's the way it worked out. And that's the thing. So the number of people we interview versus the number of people we hire, it's like single digit percents, which you can say is a waste of time until you try doing the opposite, or you try like giving them, then you feel like, no, that's actually a good investment. It's like, you want to do the right thing in the beginning. So build a good foundation. That's worked over and over again. If I didn't show up for work for like a month, everyone would wonder where I am, but the business would grow at the same exact rate because the team is so good.
Right.
That's what you want, right? You want the team to be great.
Yeah. When do you have conviction around a candidate?
We have this thing where we, up to like 75% way through the process, we're looking, say no as soon as we can. So we just kick people out during that whole thing. We have multiple written things. We have multiple interview processes. We make sure that they have their interview processes for all the right things. Are they competent in their job technically? For like your job, it would be like, can he actually write a sentence that seems coherent? And so we would have, a candidate write something, or if it's an engineer, we have them build a program. We do all that stuff. In the beginning, we do that multiple times. And some of the interviews are for like, are you going to get along well with the team? Are you a team player? Is it a team sport? Are you a jerk? We don't want to work with jerks, all that stuff. And that generally works out. And then the end becomes, okay, we decided this person might be okay. And we have enough people have conviction when they just say, this is one of the best people I've ever met for this job. I really want to work with them. If we can't get to that level, then we just don't hire the person. And it's very frustrating for us because I know this person is pretty good. We're not looking for pretty good. We're looking for great. And I have the same speech I use all the time about, professional baseball team. It's like, there are lots of good baseball players in the world. But to play in the major leagues, you have to have a certain level of talent.
Right.
And that's it. You just have to. Sorry, that's true.
How much weight do you put on the school someone went to or the prior companies they worked at?
It does turn out that there's a self-selecting thing where the educational background of a lot of people are pretty high, but it doesn't matter. it's a signal whether you should interview someone. It's not a signal whether you should hire someone. I went to a good technical university, and if someone from my school who saw their resume and they were an engineer, probably looking for a job, we would interview them, but we wouldn't hire them unless they were great. But the thing is, we interview almost everyone because we're looking for diamonds. It's too hard to find them. And I know plenty of people who went to the fancy schools, who've been through our process, I don't know, pick somewhere, Harvard, Stanford, MIT, one of some of the name places. We have people who work here who went to school there, another place, they're great. We had equally interviewed people like, I was the first thing to have a job. No, being good at your schoolwork doesn't mean you're good at your professional work.
Right.
It's not true.
We're coming up on time on this conversation. It's really been great chatting with you, but I have two final questions I'd like to close with. One is, can you tell us about a person who has had a profound influence on you?
On a personal level, it's always a family member. Let's pick my dad who passed away. In some ways, I'm the black sheep of the family, right? My family, my dad, my brother, my son, they're all like this. They're all very high EQ. They're the person you go to when you have trouble. Like my brother's like a special needs teacher, all that stuff. I'm not that guy. I'm a big nerd. But whenever I get stuck about how to manage someone, I think about what my dad would do. I don't think he ever managed anyone. He was a sign maker. He built signs, like he worked at SeaWorld and said, penguins that way, or, dolphins that way. And I think what he would do. So he's the first one. And, professionally, I had a mentor early on. His name was Mary Baker. And Mary basically taught me how to be an executive, the best people manager I've ever worked with by a significant amount. And she had her own mentor, his name was Bill Campbell, who's a famous guy. And she used to say this thing that Bill said all the time, which was, the value of our company goes home every day after work. The value is in the people. We're a tech company. We make technical things. It's the brain power, the creative process, the knowledge and skill we all have together. If those people leave, we're done. If those people aren't effective, we're done. So my job is to make sure that they're effective and happy, because if we can give them fulfilling work, they'll be happy and they'll do that. And that's what I try to do every day. Make sure that they have a fulfilling, good work environment. Whatever else is going on, Treasury Prime is a good place for them to be.
Last question. Can you tell us about a charity cause or other endeavor that you're passionate about?
The thing that we like to do is we're part of the Interfaith Feed the Homeless thing. So there's a rotating schedule, and I go in and I cook for the homeless guys here in San Francisco when they're at my church. And we have a rotation we do. That's perfect for me because I want to help everyone, but I'm not like my dad who can be out there talking to them, but I'm great in the kitchen. I'm back there, I'm making the food. They're appreciative. I don't have to talk to anyone. It's great.
That's wonderful. Chris, I want to thank you again for taking the time. It's been a great conversation.
Thank you. It's great to talk to you.